Good to go? Okay. Well, hi to any volunteers watching. We're making this recording for you so that we can give you a little bit of training. My name is Chaplain Robbie. I work with Neve Hospice, and I am here in the beautiful Honora home. And as you can tell, things are happening and people are being cared for. I love this place, and so thank you to all of you who are workers, volunteers, people who make this place happen. You are truly a blessing, so thank you for the loving work that you do. Speaking to Miles, we thought it would be great to talk about the topic of grief. Obviously in hospice, we're talking about loss and the loss of loved ones and the loss of patients and residents and people that you have spent time caring for. And obviously grief is going to be a part of that. But we want to look at the unique aspects and ways that grief can affect you long term as a person in this type of space. Professional caregivers, volunteer caregivers, you may say goodbye to a lot of people a lot of times, and that can take its toll if we don't give grief the avenues it needs to get out of our body. So today I'm just going to give you 3 little metaphors that I have found really helpful when I've worked with other assisted living facilities and professional caregivers and nurses and chaplains and social workers. This seems to help them kind of navigate and grab something for you today, whatever that is. You may not find everything I say or share perfect or usable, but you might have one thing that you're like, okay, that's for me. That'll help me in this sort of scenario. So the first metaphor I want to give you is the backpack. This is my backpack. I've had it for many years. It's good, solid Carhartt backpack. I love it. When I take my backpack with me, much like any person with their handbag or a purse, I've got lots of things in it. I have my phone, I've got a first aid kit, Band-Aids, things like that. I bring my water with me everywhere, obviously, because you never know when you're on the road like a chaplain where you're gonna get your next drink of water. Got my mouse for my computer, some files, things like that. I have about 32 pens, and yet I'm always looking for a pen, so that's a problem for me. My wallet, my sunglasses. This goes with me everywhere I go. All these things I carry with me. And so the metaphor of the backpack, I want you to think of it as wherever we go, we're carrying stuff with us. And I want us to resist the idea that we're going to be perfectly balanced every time we go into work or we come to the hospice center. I want to do away with this myth of a perfectly balanced life where all these things stay at home, don't come with me, and I'm just a chaplain when I go to work and I'm nothing else. We bring our whole self to work. Wherever you go, you bring your whole self. All those things, like being carried in a bag, come with you. Your job, your kids, your family, your stress driving in, your concern for political environment, the things you hope you'll get to do this week, saving money. Good things and bad all come with you when you come into this sort of space. Now you might want to adopt an idea that says, okay, when I'm here, it's all about them. It's all about the patient, the resident, the family. And that's a noble and compassionate thing to do and to think. But if you're not aware of what's going on with you, if you're not aware of what you're bringing into the room in your bag, it can accidentally get in your way. And you can accidentally fill the room with your stuff, and then suddenly there's less room for them. And we actually accomplish the opposite of what we intended to do. So taking stock of what you carry into a room is really essential for you and for the person you're caring for. Sometimes before I enter a patient's room when I'm visiting, I'll pause holding the doorknob, take a deep breath, and take stock of what's happening inside of me. What emotions are at the top? Am I feeling regulated? I'll take some slow breaths. Are there any things I should tick off my box before I walk into that room? Messages I should answer, emails, phone calls. Because I have all those things happening and I'm carrying them into the room. Doesn't mean they disappear when I go into the room. But if I know what they are and I've named them and I know what's in my bag, it's not going to surprise me. And I know, okay, those things are important. The stuff in my bag is important. So while I'm with this patient, I know it's there. I set it aside. And I'm going to pick it up when I leave. because it's important stuff. You are a whole person when you come to work. It's not unprofessional to care and to grieve. It's human. We carry grief with us into rooms. It might be grief for another person. It might be grief about the change that you see in the person you're caring for, from one day to the next, or from one week to the next. Suddenly, they have changed drastically. And that is affecting you in your care for them, in your approach to them. Suddenly, you're not able to have the conversations that you had with them a month ago or a week ago. And that's a loss, and that's a grief. Grief is like an injury or a cut, maybe that you get on your arm. You bring that with you, but you want to keep it clean and treat it. You want to take stock of it and make sure it's okay. You don't want to come in and bleed on the floor. So it's important for us to know what's happening in us, to care for ourselves, to look after ourselves, especially if we want to do this long term. Otherwise, we're just going to end up with a lot of damage and a lot of problems, and those get in the way of us helping the people that we want to help. And it harms us. And in this type of work, you matter too. So what's in your backpack when you're coming in to do this type of work? What needs to get cleaned out and sorted? Or what injuries need some treatment and some attention before you continue with your work? Your wounds are for your therapist or a mentor or a trusted loved one. Make sure that you see to them. And your scars, though, are for teaching others. I don't remember where I heard that, but it was the best thing I ever heard, at least this year. Your wounds are for your therapist, but your scars, they're for teaching others. So the things that we learn and encounter and take on and put in our backpack in this type of work, once they're healed, they have immense value. Those scars tell stories for helping others. Kind of like what I'm hoping to do for you now. So that's metaphor number one. Metaphor number two, emotions. I call this the emotional dashboard. Have you ever had a check engine light come on your car, and it's usually at the worst timing after the paycheck is spent, and bing, the check engine light comes on. And the light itself isn't a problem. If it was, we could ignore it, couldn't we? There are jokes about putting black tape over it or just ignoring, I figured once the engine starts smoking, then I'll check on something. No, that light turns on to tell you there's something inside the engine that needs you to look at it, needs attention. Emotions are like a dashboard of warning lights. And I want this thought to sit with you. Emotions are morally neutral. They are morally neutral. They're not right or wrong. Just like a check engine light is not right or wrong. It's indicating something's happening. The light itself, or the emotion itself, isn't actually what's happening. It's rooted down under the hood. There's something underneath that requires your attention. So, emotions can't be right or wrong. Like music can't be right or wrong. However, music with lyrics might have something in it. The words might have something that hurts or cuts or scars. And what we do with our emotions can hurt or cut or scar someone else or ourselves. So the light coming on that dashboard, that emotional light, what we do with it matters, and what we do with it can be good or bad, helpful or not. But just the fact that you're experiencing anger or fear or any number of emotions, sadness, different forms of grief, happiness, joy. All of these are just telling you that something under the hood is happening. So, like the dashboard lights, if we don't reflect and address those things and look under the hood, they will cause damage over time. Your engine will start smoking. And it's a lot easier to be preventative rather than responsive with these emotions. Some of these emotions with grief may surprise you. I have a friend who, when grief comes up, they become extremely scatterbrained and confused. The simplest tasks become impossible. For me, I become immensely sleepy when I'm grieving, as well as irritable. I had a patient pass recently, and I'm rarely affected emotionally by my patient's passing. It's just not how I am wired. And I spent 2 days extremely irritable by every little thing. And my wife kept asking me, what's wrong? Is something going on? What's going on? And I'd be, what are you talking about? Nothing's wrong. Leave me alone. And it wasn't until I had a kind of moment of clarity and peace one day, and I was sitting still, I was like, I'm grieving that woman. That patient, I had cared for her for 1.5 years. That's what's going on. I'm irritable, and there was a light flashing. And even my wife was giving me more indication. You should check that light. But I kind of ignored it until I had a moment to sit and process and just be at peace and realize, oh, that is a light I need to check. I was grieving. I had never had that light come on when I was grieving before. And once I named it, once I figured out that's what the light was, the irritability went away. The light told me something was happening and it wanted me to check under the hood. And then I realized, oh, I'm really feeling this loss. I miss this woman, and I'm going to start to grieve her and process it. That is the emotional dashboard. The last thing I'm going to give you is this. I like this idea, and I share it especially with families who are experiencing watching a loved one go slowly, often with maybe dementia or Alzheimer's. And I call this bite-sized grief. It's often called the long goodbye, Alzheimer's, watching someone slowly slip away and change. And so I tell people to pause, to take notes of the losses that are happening as they happen, rather than holding it up and pretending, okay, we're just going to hold on until they pass, and then we'll express ourselves and experience our emotion. That's a big bite to take. And it prolongs the difficulty of watching them change, prolongs not grieving and engaging with those emotions and losses as they happen. It's like you're saving up all these meals and trying to eat them all at once, rather than taking little bite sizes as things happen. So an example would be, 1 week you're able to have a conversation with that patient, with your mother, with your resident, and they declined over the weekend, and you come in on Monday and they are now nonverbal. You should pause, write down, speak out, share with a friend. I am grieving the loss of my ability to talk with her. I miss being able to have a conversation with him. I miss being able to say their name and hear them say my name. A lot of people who care for dementia patients will often say, I didn't know they would forget me this soon. I'm their daughter. Shouldn't they remember me? And that's a little loss, because they may live then for many months or many years after that. But if they don't pause and take that little bite-sized grief and recognize, I miss that I can't talk to my mom anymore. I even share this with our residents and patients sometimes. I say, as little things change and you begin to see the loss of your mobility, you should pause and recognize it. You should pause and say, I hate that I can't walk without help anymore. I miss going on a walk by myself, looking at the sun, listening to the birds. And recognize that loss, because it's significant. One of the biggest ungrieved losses I think that our seniors don't get enough appreciation for is their loss of their driver's license. That's the loss of all their freedom and independence. Now they have fully depended on someone to bring them everywhere. And I don't think we give them enough credit for what a big loss that is in their life. So we shouldn't save up these things like a big meal, but take little bite sizes. Take this on as another metaphor, if you like. Grief is like water. It carves a path where there isn't one. And if we don't give it a path, it's going to find a path through us. And it's usually less pleasant that way. Grief is always unpleasant, but if we plan for it and we let the water go where we want it to, it's a lot easier. So that's that bite-sized grief metaphor, is picking where and when you're going to recognize those losses as they come. And recognize them and write them down because they're relevant. And then maybe you're not so overwhelmed at the end and you have to recount everything. So this begins with an internal reflection. In fact, all 3 points is a lot of self-reflection. It's a lot of who am I today? How am I doing? What am I carrying? What losses have I not stopped to recognize and to say, I miss this and I grieve it? And we can find this time, as busy as we are, we can find this time. We can pause and breathe for 5 minutes and just take note of ourselves. What dashboard lights are coming up? What emotions are rising to the surface? And going that step further though and being like, what does that emotion actually mean to me? What is that anger actually connected to? I'm not mad, I'm feeling a sense of loss of control. Or I'm not irritable, it's I haven't recognized the relevance of losing that person and I hadn't noticed that yet. Internal reflection of just pausing. Don't stop at the surface with the dashboard lights. Go a little deeper with that. And then also, turn that grief into gratitude when you can. Though I can't talk with my mom because she doesn't recognize me the same way, I am grateful she's still here. I'm still grateful I can hold her hand. I'm still grateful that I can walk in the garden with her. I'm grateful that I had that one day with that patient who came and laid here and passed quickly. I'm so glad we gave them a place to be safe and to be loved. I'm so grateful I didn't have to do it by myself. Taking those losses and adding gratitude to them helps kind of tie them up a little bit in a good way. So those are my 3 metaphors. Whatever they do for you, I hope that they encourage you, give you maybe language around something you've maybe already been trying to process. Sometimes just someone giving you the right words helps you a whole lot. So thank you again for all the work that all of you are doing. We love Anora Home, and you are a blessing.